Hey, everybody, and welcome to my in5 series where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. Dr. Rolfsky, or possibly Drolfsky, but I'm going with Dr. Rolfsky, writes in and says to my video on connecting the MPC with the Ableton Move. He says, I tried the exact same thing and just gave up out of frustration. There isn't all that much synergy between these two devices anyway, as they're both doing the same thing. You probably won't go much further than these devices sampling into each other, and for that, just an audio connection will do. I would say super reductive and to the point. I will agree and disagree at the same time. I think it really depends on what you're trying to do. That said, if you've got an MPC, it's doing 90% of what most of these other devices will do. And it's an easy argument to say you don't really need that much more for a sequencer, sampler, effects box, and all that stuff. So I think Dr. Rolfsky, yeah, the reason why you might want this is probably not always going to be to pair it with the MPC, but I will say the sequencer down here, top notch. I do like it. It is, as far as in a sampler, they're going to be very equivalent to each other. There's going to be some things that you can do here that are going to be easier to do on the Ableton Move than they are on the MPC, and vice versa. So, yeah, sure. I'm it's one of those things that I think everybody's, as you're getting into music, has to figure out like what is it that you want out of the device. My advice is always, for example, with like the OP1, people are like, "Hey, the MPC is a much better sampler than the OP1," and that is absolutely going to be true 99% of the time. There's a few things that the OP1 can do though that the MPC is just terrible at. For example, it's got a great looper and it has a terrible sequencer. So, um, for me, if I'm actually trying to record something actually live, the looper in the Akai MPC absolutely fine will get you, you know, 75% of the way there most of the time, but having four tracks that can loop can make it actually a valuable component if that's what you're looking to do. For me personally, I like the OP1 because it does push me into some places that I usually don't go. Usually very much more into sequencing, being able to micro edit where the timing of things goes, get into a very granular level of control for sample, like when I'm doing chopping, where the sample start and end time is, all that stuff. On the other hand, the OP1 is not, it forces you to work in a different way, which I think is also has creative value, even if it can frustrate the heck out of you, because you might come from the MPC like myself. I'm like, I've been using the MPC for over 20 years and I'm very accustomed to the style and how it works and workflows and just have built and developed that stuff over the years. A lot of the other devices, as I come in and approach them, I'm like, okay, I got to sit down and like really think about what I'm doing and understand what workflows I need, like what does work, what doesn't work. And instead of just trying to force a device to work the way I want it to, try and figure out where it's got some value in it that maybe pushes me in some different directions artistically that I wouldn't go into. So that's a long-winded way of saying, yeah, I agree with you for sure. You don't need 100 samplers. Heck, you don't even need two all the time. But my advice has just been use the device for whatever it's best for or how best you understand it in your workflow. If it's adding value, absolutely getting another sampler like the SP404 Mark II sitting here. Great device for just very quickly recording, flipping things, changing it around, dropping in effects, all that. So like for me, I always tell people like the SP404 Mark II here, it is a excellent device for just like very transient, just changing, morphing, and doing things. The effects are they're not very deep, but they're very well tuned for being able to do things. Whereas I would say the MPC, the effects are very deep. You can go forever and spend all day like tweaking a effect chain to get it to be perfect and sound great. And both, I would say, like artistically, both are completely valid ways to approach music making. And if you can meld them together, all the better. But you know, if you're stuck on how do I get the Ableton Move here to do anything useful with the MPC and you're just not seeing it, yeah, I think it's totally fair to like, it's not for me. I'm moving on. I mean, I've seen plenty of people that they say the OP1, it is a giant pain in the butt. And yes, it is a giant pain in the butt. So I don't know. I know this is like advice that's a non-advice in a lot of ways. But I would say, just if you're not willing to put in the time on them, or you're not like finding creative uses for them, yeah, like move them on. Like stick with what works best for you. Keep making music, keep having fun. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And peace.